Okay, so it is Tuesday, 22nd of the 2nd, so 22nd of February, 2022. And that only happens, well, once every 100 something years. I think the next one is the 3rd of March, 3033. So we're not going to be around for that. But this is all back to mine. And tonight, my very special guest is Fraulein Freakbeat. So here we are. How you doing?
Hi there. I'm good, and I'm excited to be on your show. Actually, it's a pleasure to be invited.
No, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. We'll talk a little bit about your background in a minute, but I first found out about you through Chris Pop, who does and has done a lot of the logos and the design for the country streams and some other stuff for the 45 Kings. And we were putting together 45 Queens event, so female DJs playing 45s, and he suggested you. And obviously we got you on and you played on that show, and then I think you did the Germany live stream as well when we did that one, and then you did the 2nd anniversary, and I think maybe another one. I think maybe you did Coffee and Donuts as
Coffee
well,
and
I think.
donuts once,
Yeah,
and your birthday party.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, of course. My birthday party. Yeah, I mean, so many streams over the last year. It's been a bit crazy. Let me just turn that way because that's annoying me. But yeah, let's say hello to Mark Lancaster's in the house. So I know he's looking forward to the show. I know he's a big fan of your music. So it's great to see him. So yeah, Sarah. Let's start with the name first. So Fraulein Freakbeat. How did you come across that DJ name?
Um, it's well, I had to choose a new name in 2018. I was surprisingly I was invited to DJ in London
Wow.
at a club called Helgies in Hackney.
Okay.
And when I was invited, I had about 3 weeks or so to go until the gig. And until then, my name, my DJ name, sort of was Anyone's Daughter. This is
Okay.
way back in my teens. I was a big fan of Deep Purple. And there's a song of theirs on the LP Fireball that's called Deep Purple, and it was my favorite song as a teenager, whatever. And it
Yeah.
was only later on that I discovered there's a German prog rock group from the 80s with the same name, and people kept connecting me to that group I hadn't even heard of. So
Okay.
I needed something that would reflect more the music that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And well, a lot of female DJs have the names with Miss so and so and
Yeah. That's
Madam
right. Yeah.
so and so. And so I was coming from Germany to London, and I thought, oh, I could do something. Uh, I was really pressed for time with picking a name. And then Miss, the title Miss in German is Fräulein. It's very old fashioned. You don't use it anymore. But then again, my music is old fashioned.
Okay. Yeah.
And after the war, you had maybe there was this Fräulein Wunder, where all the soldiers were started to think, oh, German girls, young girls, they look so nice. And so I thought that the word Fräulein would be a bit more common in the English language. But anyway, so I went with that, and I took Freakbeat because this term was the only one I thought could span the majority of styles that I play, because I do beat, fuzz, surf, garage, rhythm and blues, and jump blues, and a lot of stuff. So I thought this was a kill-all term.
That's a good name. Mark Lancaster saying there there isn't much prog rock on Twitch, and I think that's probably right. Have you got any prog rock lined up for tonight's show?
Tonight, no. I
No.
have this one song I told you about. It's more than 6 minutes, but it's more a fast one.
Okay, no, that's cool. Well, maybe Mark does a show, Afternoon Delights, on a Wednesday. Maybe he needs to play a little bit more prog rock. Okay, cool. We'll come back to a little bit of that in a minute. So, the premise of the show is all back to mine. As if I came to your house in Germany, and you were to say, "Hey, I've got 7 great sevens that you need to hear." Sometimes more. Some of my guests have gone even more than that. Yeah. So let's start with your first one. So if you tell us what it is, tell us why you chose it, and then obviously play 90 seconds to a couple of minutes of it.
So the first one is maybe the one that I have the most to tell you about, because it's very, very important to me. It's Summertime by the Shakespeares. It's a cover. Summertime, has been covered so many times, and this is a very special version. And I think I'll just play it and not
Okay.
ruin the surprise moment.
And the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Your dad is rich, and your mom is good looking. So hush, pretty baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, or you're going to spread your wings and take to the sky. But until that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you, 'cause your daddy and mommy are standing by.
Nice.
Yes.
So it's almost a shame to cut that one off.
Yeah. So this is a ska version of Summertime. There might be more ska versions of Summertime, but I only know this one. And why is this special to me? Because the tall guy, second from the left, the group's bassist was Alan Escombe, and I actually, from around 2008 to maybe 2010, I had an email friendship with this guy, and he's passed away since, and I learned a lot of things from him, because after this group broke up, he worked in the music industry for over 30 years, and he had a lot of stories to tell from all those groups he worked with, and yeah, and a lot of my musical influences came from the conversations with Alan. And also, for some reason, I decided to collect as many Shakespeare's records as I can. So I have virtually every. They only existed for a short time in the 60s, but I have virtually every single and that was issued in, and the issues of every country they were issued in, from different labels and different picture covers, and also the records from the individual group members who did solo records and so on. And I even I even managed to track down a record that he himself didn't have a copy of, because that was one they did under a different name for a different publisher, and their original manager didn't know about this, so this was pulled from the shelves quickly as he found out. So very little copies exist.
So when was this? What sort of years were you talking to? Is it
This-
Alan? Did you say?
when the record was recorded.
No. When were you? You said that you were email exchange with. Was it Alan? You said that the
Alan, yeah.
Alan, yeah. So what was the sort of timescale? When were you doing that?
That was in around 2007 or 8. I'm not exactly sure. At
Okay.
that time, I had no vinyl records, none at all. I had already been into 60s music, and at this time, I was a regular visitor to all those music blogs, you know, and some people remember MySpace and Blogspot and all
Yeah.
these sites. And this was at a time where people, the baby boomers, were digitalizing their collections and uploading it for everyone to enjoy. And so I readily, happily grabbed that. And there was a blog from this guy from, I think, from South America. His name was Pablo, and he had published the Shakespeare's album. And I was writing a comment, so, oh, that's so nice, and I have the record on my computer, and I like it so much. And then I had a message in my MySpace, so it's that long ago, in my MySpace inbox from Alan, and he liked to read my review of the LP, and from then on we were exchanging emails. We never met in real life because he was living in Australia.
Okay. That's a shame. That's a shame. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you learned a lot from him, and I think with music, and you know, as I'm learning, it's talking to other people and seeing what they've been influenced by, which helps increase your own knowledge. That's amazing. Mark Lancaster says Blogspot was great. I personally, I don't remember. I definitely had MySpace, and I definitely had a MySpace account, and I had some songs on there that I'd sort of some electronic music that I'd done, but I don't remember Blogspot myself. But yeah,
that was a great time when the copyright police was not as aware as they are today, and streaming wasn't around that much, and there were quite a few of these bloggers that whose blogs had really shaped my musical taste. There was this guy from Sweden. His name was his blog's name was Criztoz Rock, and that was more album focused. So he was one of those who was digitalizing their vast collection and uploading it. And there were other people who were more focused on really rare stuff that is not even found on these 60s compilations and samplers. There was this guy, his name was, or internet name was Sir Psych, like psychedelia. And he has compiled a huge stack of his own compilations of really music that I haven't, to this day, haven't heard anywhere else. And that was a great inspiration for my own collection. So just recently, before I was going through my boxes to get these 7 inches together, I was going through lists from MP3s that I still had on my computer from this guy's website, and there's more stuff I'm putting on my Discogs want list now that doesn't appear anywhere else, and it's all from the 60s and maybe early 70s. So it's really a treasure box with no end.
Well, and again, this was probably pre-Discogs, so you know, I think Discogs might be maybe 10 years, maybe something like that. I don't know.
I joined Discogs in 2011, I think.
Yeah. And again, not everything is on there. That's the thing, you know. And it's amazing that these people have got these records and were willing to share them. I know there was certainly I don't think it was Blogspot, but there's certainly a few other blogs that I was following, and I would download some Latin music, a lot of Latin music that I couldn't find anywhere else. So it's great that people share it, and obviously now we've got streaming where people share their record collections. So that was a great start. I love the song Summertime. I love ska. I love cover versions. So that ticked all the boxes for me, that first song. What have you got for a second one? Let's go into the second one.
The second one. The second one is also connected to a person that I really owe a lot to, but more as a DJ. So the next one is a track by Georgie Fame. It's it's actually it's the B-side, I think. So it's the B-side of a Georgie Fame record that's, I don't know how popular it is now, but when I first heard it was not very much around. So I had acquired this because I heard it from another DJ. And then in 2015, that was way before I really got into DJing, I moved into another apartment in the town of Wuppertal.
Right.
That's and there's right where I was living, there is still there. There is a bar. It's called the Beats and Kekse. it means beats and cookies because
I was
it
going to say,
used
yeah,
to
it
be
sounds like cake. Yeah, cookies. Okay.
beats and cookies. It used to be a cafe, record store in the same building, and it looks better than my room actually because everything is in 1970s original furniture and wallpapers, and everything is brown and orange. So it's for me
Wow.
that's paradise. And yeah, it's no longer a record store, but it's during the day a cafe, and at night it's a bar. And
Okay.
so one day I'd freshly moved to that town, and I went in there, and there was a soul and beat nighter going on. And I went up to the DJ. I had never talked to that guy before, and I had this record with me, and I said, "Sorry to interrupt you. Could you please play this for me?" And he said, "Yes, of course." And then we got into talking, and his name is Axel, and
Okay.
his DJ name is Der grausige Fuchs. It means the gruesome find, or something gruesome you would find somewhere. It's
Okay.
a bit intranslatable.
Yeah.
And and so yeah, and he then asked me if I wanted to DJ with him, and for I don't know 2 or 3 years we had this. What's longer than that? 2015, almost 5 years. We had a regular a monthly nighter on Saturdays going on with beat and soul and all this and rhythm and blues and all this stuff going on. And so yeah, we are friends now, and during the pandemic we have exchanged a lot of emails, and we are both very very much looking forward to being able to DJ again, because we've spent so many nights in this club, and we always had this DJing back to back. You know, one DJ plays one track, the next track's the other DJ, and so on. Or one person plays three tracks in a row, the other person 3 tracks in a row. So that was always very challenging and very fun. But this song,
it's amazing. Before you put it on, I mean, it's amazing that first of all, he said yes, just play the record, because I'm sure we all know lots of DJs who just wouldn't ever think of doing that. And then obviously from that to grow a friendship and then become a DJ duo is amazing. That's a really good story.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I really really owe a lot to him. So
yeah,
here we go.
Great. Well, let's hear it.
Still have to take of the other one.
Yeah, no, great stuff so far. I'll sort out a link, because there should be we were talking about streaming last night and having timers, but it doesn't seem to be working tonight. But I'll put a link up if people want to follow Sarah on Facebook. So
That's a bit more soul oriented for now.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I know we discussed how long to play them. Maybe for the next few, play them a little bit longer as well, actually, because I think people are going to get into it. Now, you mentioned that it was the B side. Was it the B side that you asked Axel to play?
Yeah, it's exactly that this song. I can't even remember the A side of this record because I never played.
We have a phrase, I assume it's universal, called B side for the win, which means the B side's better. Is there something equivalent in German that DJs say or not?
Not that I know of.
No. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Okay, so was hold on. Try Mark Lancaster saying "Try My World" is the A side. Is that the A side?
yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
so it's the same person. So obviously that's how you DJ'd with Axel. Was that the start of your DJing career, or were you DJing before that as well?
No, this was really the start. Before that, I was only playing music to myself.
Okay, all right. And did you have a setup? Did you have sort of decks and a mixer at home, or was it literally just one deck and listening?
No. I didn't have any of my own. I always used the gear that was there at the club, and Axel would bring the pickup systems his own, but the turntables were and the mixer and everything belonged to the club. So I never had to get any of my own gear. And it was only when in the summer of 2020, when we just were right into the pandemic and couldn't do anything, that Criztoz, our mutual friend, came up and said, wouldn't you like to do some DJ online stream? I said, no, I can't. I don't have DJ turntables and nothing, and I can't.
I remember now, yeah, because you were at a friend's house, I think. And
yeah.
I think that's when we first saw, and I remember my daughter, you saw Zizi earlier, but she loved the fact that there was the plants everywhere, and it was a really cool setup, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Your friend
I
had,
liked it. That was just an interim solution, and actually, this guy it was a friend of Criztoz. So he's living here in Münster. His name is Ivo, and he's a DJ too, but he does digital only, so no vinyl. But he still had the setup, so it was good. So he was living in the same town, and Criztoz knew him and got us together, and so I had the opportunity to play 2 sets there. And then in September, it was my birthday, and my boyfriend gifted me the setup I have here now.
And then the rest is history. Then
the rest is history. Yes,
exactly. No, that's great. Okay, well, let's talk about a little bit where you're based. So where are you based at the moment in Germany?
The town is called Münster, and it's in the northwest of Germany, so very, very close to the Netherlands.
Okay. And is there much of a? You've talked about the club, the Beats and Cookies and a few other places. Is there much of a music scene there, and is there record shops to sort of visit and buy stuff from?
There are record shops, but Wuppertal, the town where this club is, it's about 100 kilometers from here.
Oh, okay.
So it's more than an hour to drive. So Münster is a bit far out, but it's lovely. I don't want to move away from here anytime soon. So there's Wuppertal has this one club, but there's not really an established scene of this type of music. There is a big scene in Cologne, which is even farther south from me here.
Yeah. I've been to Cologne. Yeah, Cologne is a lovely city. Yeah.
Yeah, Cologne has these places like the Sonic Ballroom which is legendary. That's I have seen the Trashmen there live once. The Surfing Bird.
Yeah. So, wow.
And other great bands like that, and stay at nights till the early morning and dance my feet off. And so there's this legendary club, and a lot of people from this 1960s and from the beat scene are based in Cologne, so that's a hotspot really. And here in Münster, I moved here in 2020, but my boyfriend grew up here, so before I moved in with him, I traveled up here every weekend. But really being resident here has only been since 2020, when there was already COVID going on. So I didn't really have a chance yet to go to any club here.
Yeah. And I guess it's like you said, unless there's a scene already for the type of music you play, I imagine most modern bars are just not going to be interested. It's the same with playing 45 sometimes. You know, a lot of bars just want, you know, house music or electronic music or dance music or pop music, and it just doesn't fit in with whatever they're doing. So you need to find the right venue and the right crowd. That's not always easy. Cool. Okay. Well, let's move on to number 3 then. What have you got for the third 45 today?
Well, the third one is a bit. It's an odd one for once, because we now had ska and a soulish one. So this maybe some people know it.
Psych rock. I can't quite read it. Something Henry.
Yeah, it's Pierre Henry. It's
Pierre Henry.
the French pioneer of electronic music, and
okay, cool.
The people from the millennial generation, I'd say, will recognize this, because this was used as the theme melody of a famous TV show. And when I first heard this on some sample, I was like, I know this is weird. This is from the 60s, and I don't know. So it really was a weird thing to discover that this TV show, which takes place in the far future, has a theme song from the 60s. But and I will play it a bit longer, maybe. So
play a couple of minutes and let's see. I'm quite intrigued now. Big up to Chris International, T2 Funk, Galen Hardy, and everyone else who's in the chat following this today. So Futurama.
Yes.
Yeah. that is a great one. I've had a message from Jawa Jones. She's watching and she's listening in, but can't get into the chat. I think there's a phone verification thing on Twitch at the moment, which I need to take off. But but she just said, so she says to say hello. So there we go. But yeah, so we were talking about you on the show when Jawa was Sasha was on the show, and obviously she'd mentioned about the connection with MySpace. I think the story was not quite as you had it, but it was sort of talking about Alan, wasn't it, that you sort of contacted. But again, that's a great record. That's sort of TV theme. It's a 45. It's a little bit quirky. Again, you know, ticks all my boxes. That's a really great choice.
I used to well, not of course not on the 45, but on my SD card when I was driving back home from university. I had this. I had this evening classes, and I was driving in my car back home at night in the dark, and I would play this all the time in my car. So that brings back memories from my study time.
I mean, it's quite. I don't know what sort of equipment they would have been using back then. That's yeah. I mean, I don't know, because that would have been 60s.
It's from 1967, but my 45 is a reissue from 73. But the cover is cooler than the original one.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd be interested to find out what sort of instrumentation they're using on there, because obviously there's some crazy stuff, but it's slightly before synthesizers, isn't it? I think, or certainly synthesizers being mainstream. It's probably just slightly before that.
Maybe one of the first.
Yeah. So that's cool. Right, as we're talking about vintage gear, I know you've got some cool vintage gear that you're going to show us. So we're going to switch to another camera.
Yeah, let's see if I might have to reconnect it once because it tends to freeze. No, it's working.
Let's have a look. And Chris International is saying Moog and Buchla, yeah. So or Buchla, I don't know how the right pronunciation. But yeah. Okay, well that seems to be working. That's cool. So let's have a look. So maybe talk us through what we're looking at. I've seen this already, so I'm already blown away. But talk us through what you've got.
I will turn the mic up a bit so you can still hear me.
Yeah, we can still hear you. That's cool.
This is my vintage Torrent turntable. It's my dad bought this. So it's not his own from his teens, but he bought this some years ago, and but he has more than one turntable. So I said, can I have, when I moved out from my parents' place, I said, can I take this with me? And okay. Yeah, so this is from the early 70s, and it's Swiss made, and it has I should have taken the cover off. It has the British SME Series 2 improved tone arm.
Wow.
And a modern cartridge from Autophone. And yeah, and below that I have a receiver and amplifier from Revox, which is also a Swiss make, and this is from my dad's collection. So my dad is a really an avid collector of old hi-fi gear. So I always had the privilege during my teens and early years to choose from really, really high quality vintage gear. So this is also has wooden case from the outside. And I had to have it repaired recently, and it's we picked it up on Sunday, and now it's working again.
Yeah, we weren't sure if it was quite going to make it back in time for the show, were we?
But it did.
It did, which is good. But I mean, it looks amazing. It's so cool.
And it's the furniture it's sitting on it. It's not ideal, but for the limited space I have in this room, it's doing great. That's another. It's also vintage plastic furniture from the, I think, early 70s. And so
I was going to say, while you've got the camera in your hand, do you want to show us around? I know you've got a couple of other
that's my 1960s desk, and so
21st century TV studio.
There's you on StreamYard, and there's my record collection. You can see all the 45s at the bottom, and at the bottom left there is my 78 collection. I also have a bunch of those.
I might get you to bring a couple of those out later. Actually, I'll be interested to see what you've got in your 78 collection.
I did on Christmas Eve on the 24th. I uploaded a mix that I recorded exclusively with 78s, because I have separate cartridges for my DJ turntables for 78 records. So I during the holidays I took the time and recorded this mix with 78s only. So
That's
just
amazing.
And so you can see my 45 collection, and I'm running out of space. It's awful.
Join the club. I'm not going to show you behind here because it's an absolute mess of records everywhere. But
behind those black doors, there is my LP collection, and I have it behind doors to keep light and dust away.
Yeah.
And so I don't get the LPs out so often, so that's okay.
Yeah.
And there's more records over there.
Yeah,
and
there's always more records.
And this is an original carpet from the 70s, obviously. So
that's so dope. That's so dope.
Okay.
Just say hello to a couple of people. Say hi to Les, the DJ. She is coming on the show soon. It was meant to be in a few weeks' time, but due to my work, we're going to have to rearrange. And Tommy T, who was on the streaming show last night, so that was good. Yeah, great. We'll come back to the 78s in a minute, but so let's have another tune. Where I think we're on number 4.
Okay. The next. I might change the order, but I'll just go with it. The next one is the 6+ minute song. So I picked this one because this was the first expensive record I bought, and I forgot to look up when I bought it. I think it was in 2012 or so. So this is 10 years ago, and I was beginning to earn my own money, and this was really rare. And when I bought this, and it was, I think, it either unplayed or played once, according to the seller. And so yeah,
and it's an expensive record 10 years ago. How much would that have been? How much was that 10 years ago?
I could have looked it up before this interview, but I forgot. So I won't tell you anyway how much I spent. So this is and it's a private press from the US. I forgot which state. Private press. The song is called "The Silence of the Morning," and the group is called the Glass Sun. And the funny thing is, anyone who remembers MySpace might remember this trend of Rickrolling. Where you would send people a link, and this is such an interesting video, you must watch it, and then it's Rick Astley.
Rick Astley, yeah.
Yeah. And if you look closely at the
let me get this up. Hold on. Silence of the Rickroll. Yeah.
So
it's amazing the things you forget, but I totally remember that now.
So this is a millennial joke about a record. It's I think it came out in the early 70s, but it was recorded in 68, as far as I know. Okay. And so this is the first really fast number I'm going to play. And it's very long, so let's see how long it will last.
Okay, there's the DJ. So she rickrolls people in her stream regularly. Okay, let's have a listen to this.
Silence of the morning, like a little baby's cry. In the silence of the morning, I can sometimes see her outside. In the silence of the morning, like a little baby's cry. In the silence of the morning, time. In the silence of the morning, like a little baby's cry. In the silence of the morning, I can see your
That's an amazing track, and
We
it
went
probably
through about
justifies.
half of it.
Yeah, well, a lot
maybe
of people have been going on Discogs and trying to find out how much that is, and we're just shy of $1,000, or £730 in or 730 quid. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you didn't pay 1,000
no,
euros back
not,
then.
not that much. No.
But again, it's the rarity value, isn't it, of the music that you've
Yeah.
got? I mean, I don't know how many of those, but you said it was a private pressing, that one, wasn't it? I think.
Mm.
Yeah. So they
Yeah,
probably would have been very few.
the group
Of
the
that.
group only put out 2 45s. There's this
Yeah.
one, and the other one is I Can See the Light. So, and I got both in pristine condition from the same seller. So this was way more expensive than the other one, but I got both. So the complete output of this group in one batch, and that was a lucky day on eBay. So this wasn't Discos, this was in eBay times.
So eBay time. That's great. Just say hello to a few people. Mr. Lob has been woken up. I know he got woken up last time because it was
By the
loud.
silence in the morning.
Yeah. Loud music last time. And who else we got? We got Double P as well, Tommy T. And yeah, no, that's cool. Okay, we could just about see on there your headphone. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then because I'll tell you my side of it on that. So where did you get it from? Why do you particularly use that style of headphone for DJing?
This is I have to give credit to my friend Axel again, because he was the first DJ I had seen who uses the phone, and it's not his. He still has his own, and it's holy. It's his own phone. His is gray, and when we were DJing together, I kept using his phone, and I must say it's probably because I'm a girl with a lot of hair, and pulling headphones over your head and off and on all the time. I don't know. I didn't really work out. So this is quite easy. And I, as you know, or as everyone has seen right now, I love to collect old stuff. And when I decided I had to get my own headphone because I was DJing in other places and not always with Axel. And I knew I had to get an orange one because it's my favorite color.
Yeah.
And so someday, so one fine day, my boyfriend Gregor and I, we went to the flea market here in Münster, and there was one orange phone, and so it was. I paid more for it than I should have, just because it was orange.
Orange, yeah.
and and it was pretty beat up, so it was not too bad to buy it just to harvest the top thing. And then the man who's repairing my boyfriend's guitar amps. So my boyfriend is a musician. He's a blues guitar player, and he has a vast range of vintage guitar amps. And so when these amplifiers are broken or need to be serviced, we take them to this guy in a small town nearby. He's also the one who has fixed my.
I was going to say you're the same guy. Yeah.
He's brilliant. He does it in his garage, and he takes little or sometimes no money for it, and he can repair anything. And so he was He was the one who fitted the headphone jack to
Yeah,
the cable. Yeah.
Well, it's cool because a couple of things. Obviously, you've now Chris Popper's created your logo, which you can see in the bottom right corner, and
Yeah, he
obviously
did a great job with that, and I
Yeah.
really have to thank Chris Pop for a lot of things. So thank you. In
And
case you're listening.
it's incorporating the phone as well, which is cool. And then it inspired my daughter as well, who's obviously a DJ, and she'd seen you DJ, and she loves your DJing.
That's so great, and I had the pleasure to say hi to her.
Yeah, she came and said hello, but
Yeah.
she saw you, and then we had this phone knocking around at home, and my brother's quite good at sort of similar sort of stuff, electronics and building stuff. And then obviously, yeah, he built one for Zia and ZZ45, so she's got one.
That's so cool.
And then we were talking on the show before we started, and I suddenly remembered that we had this older phone, which it's not been converted yet. But it maybe I might ask my brother to do that, because that could be quite a cool little one as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But I guess it's also the sort of style of the way you play music as well, because a lot of sort of fuzz and garage isn't necessarily mixed in. So really, it's using it, cue up the next track, enjoy the music you're listening to, drop it in, and then do that. So you don't need necessarily to hear the mix in your headphones as some people do.
Yeah, the sound quality of an old telephone. Yeah. It's not good.
It is very basic, and as Tommy T says, I don't think it has drivers in them. There's some of the more modern lollipop ones. I've seen Benny Gogg's over in Worthing, and he's got one of those ones which is sort of like a bit of a stick, and then it's got like a headphone like you would have on a modern headphone thing on it to look at it. That's quite cool. Great. Well, let's have another one. I always lose count on this. I think we're on number 5. Is that number 5?
I lost count too. So
probably. I think it's 5. I think it's number 5.
Yeah, the next one will be number 5.
Yeah. So why have you picked this one, and what is it?
So before I tuck this away, so I have the rare and important records get these difficult to operate.
Oh, are they the ones that have the sort of the glue sort of thing as you fold them down? Yeah. Oh, they're so annoying, but I can see why you'd put that record in one of those.
Yeah. The next one is a rare one as well. It was also it's not expensive as that one, but I took this one because it took me years to hunt it down.
Okay.
And musically, it's quite different from what we heard last. This is beat music, I'd say, from 1965. It's a UK group called the Zephyrs, and I first heard this in a movie from 65, which starred the young Steve Marriott way before he did the Small Faces. So he was a not a child actor, but a youth actor, and it's a cheesy black and white movie about his mother or aunt. They're doing a bed and breakfast thing, and they need advertisement for it, and so they're recruiting. They are having these bands playing an advertisement song for this, and this is the movie is called Be My Guest. And so they have this band contest, and this song is played by the band. They play themselves. So they have a weird name in this movie, but doesn't I can't remember it now. But anyway, I saw this track in this movie in I don't know 8 years ago or so, and it was only last year or the year before that I finally got this. So
you managed to get it, yeah.
It's called She Laughed by the Zephyrs.
Okay, cool.
She laughed when I told her I mean to go, so don't tell me no. She laughed, never cried, it hurt my pride. Hey, hey. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, she laughed when I told her it's up and through. I found someone new. She laughed when I told her I've been leading you on. I've been doing you wrong. She laughed, never cried. It hurt my pride. Hey, hey.
And another great one. And as Rob says, it's like the Kinks meets the Beatles in a garage.
Yeah, sort of. And it's because it's the drummer who's doing the vocals, which is also a bit unusual. I think Dave Clark 5 was the only really famous group at the time that had this constellation.
Because I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, I've never done drumming, but you know, I know one of my good friends is a drummer. But to imagine singing and drumming at the same time, I mean, it's he comes off stage and he's exhausted. Let alone he's not even singing. But that's amazing. I'm just going to roll back a tiny bit. As we were talking about telephones, I forgot to mention, because you showed to Zizi before your other telephone, which is just behind you there. It's not a headphone or music, but it's just pretty cool. And so let's have a quick look at that.
Yeah, it's the animal that has sort of become my mascot. So as you can see, this is a big Garfield figure, and it has a cord, so that's already suspicious.
Yeah.
And you can take off his back, and it comes off as a phone. So this is, I think it's some 80s child's toy. And the funny thing is that once you do that, he's opening up his eyes. So yeah, I got this from a flea market in Sweden way back.
That's that's very cool. You talked about your father a little bit about the record deck and equipment. So, what sort of influence was he? Did he influence you in music as well? Were you quite a musical household? Were you listening to a lot of music back then?
Yeah. So, well, neither of my parents is a musician. So my dad, he's a pensioner now, but he used to be a math teacher.
Okay.
And my mother was also a pensioner now. She was an office worker, so not really a connection with music. But my dad, he was born in 1950, so he really experienced the era of music that I now appreciate so much. So when he was a teen, he got to see the Beatles at the Blitz tourney in 1966 in the town of Essen. This is the town where he was born and where I was born too. So he got to see them actually, and I still have his ticket. So he kept it, and I kept it even safer, so it doesn't get lost. Anyway, so my dad had started collecting records and gear, hi-fi gear, in the 60s already, but his focus is more on blues music. He's a big fan of Canned Heat and Johnny Winter and the like, but he also has the first couple of albums from Kraftwerk, which is something really completely different, but also a thing that influenced me. But I think the blues influence was the strongest that came from my dad, and he has big boxes of CDs, blues compilation from the 20s to the 40s. And when I was a teenager, I would listen to that, like Big Bill Brunsey and Lead Belly and Big Joe Turner, all these really, really old-fashioned blues guys. So that's why I have a 78 collection and a wind-up gramophone for that matter. So that's the influence that came from my dad. And from my mom's side, she's a big fan of the Beatles. So that's where my beat influence came from. So I had blues and Beatles throughout my childhood.
And we've had sort of guests on the show before who said that their parents were into music, but they weren't really into it at that stage, and it's only later when they got a bit older that they did. It sounds like you were into the music the whole way through, or if you were listening to blues when you were a teenager, then were you sort of into it then, or did you sort of find out more about it later?
Sort of with some intermissions. Well, when I was little, like kindergarten age, I would listen to the Beatles because my mother would play the records, and that was in the 90s where these 3 anthology CDs were released, and maybe she got them for her birthday or bought them herself, so that was playing all the time when I was little. So I was really heavily influenced at this young age as a kindergartner by the Beatles. And then when I was a teenager, I had a brief phase where I was a fan of the Black Eyed Peas.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I had this brief moment where I was into contemporary music of the time, but then also I was really into Cypress Hill for a while.
Yes. Cypress Hill, yes.
And I actually still appreciate them today. So, but I don't have a single record of theirs. It's a shame. I should change that. And then as a teenager, around the age of 15 or 16, for some reason I rediscovered the music of my childhood years. So, and then I started listening to the Beatles again, and got so intrigued by this, and by chance I just so my mom would only listen to the Beatles, and my mom and my dad, they have little knowledge about the bands that were obscure or maybe not so known in Germany. But then, as we talked about before, this was the age of internet and Blogspot and YouTube and you name it. So I was just drawn to this music and discovered the Small Faces and the Zombies and the Swinging Blue Jeans, the Kinks, and all this vast stable of brilliant bands. And I got at that age, 16, 17, 18, I really got sucked into this realm of music blogs of 1960s music, and I spent a lot of time researching this stuff, which now really is convenient to go back to get more inspiration for my actual record collection that I started in 2009 at the age of 20.
So you're sort of digging back through your own collection of like MP3s and blogs and things like that, and then going out and finding the records when you can, obviously, but yeah, that's great. Cool. Let's have another one, and then I think we'll then talk about the 78s. I'm intrigued about those.
So my originally I wanted to not tell you which artist this is, but since we have incidentally talked about them now several times, this is a track by the Beatles.
Hold on a second.
It's an early one, and it's an instrumental that I always liked to play when there was still DJ gigs in the wild, because virtually nobody in the public, nobody knows this, and nobody knows this is the Beatles. So if you ask people who's that, they
cool. Just hold up the sleeve again. Just hold it. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know that one. It's these European sleeves. I think Chris Wheatley, when we had him on the show, was talking about the European picture sleeves are always better than the ones we get over here.
This is a German issue, and I'm ashamed. It took me a long time to realize these are actually mushrooms, because the Beatles, the hairstyle, the mop tops are in German. It's mushroom heads.
Okay,
And
interesting.
I so, and I bought this. This is a German issue, but I bought this at the giant, huge record fair in Utrecht in the Netherlands. So as I told you, the Netherlands are not very far from here, and it's about a 2 hour, not even close to a 2 hour drive to this big record fair, which is it's biannually in April and in November. And I haven't been there since since COVID came, but I left a lot of money at this place several times, and
Well, let's. I definitely want to talk about that in a minute. But yeah, put this record on. We'll then talk about that, because I know I've certainly seen it, and I think Tommy T went out to do it. But thanks, Waxworks, for the raid. I hope you guys had fun with your 12-inch Tuesdays. That's Ouija, 45-inch, and Waxworks. We're with Fraulein Freakbeat. Another great track. I'm just, before we talk about the record, I'm just going to say hello to a couple of people who've just come in. Big up Fat Wax 45. He's been on the show before. Juice Boxto. I think that's Babs, if I'm not mistaken. And DJ Sam Smite. And also we've got 45 Finch, I think, is there. And also Waxworks. So yeah. Tell us about that, because I've seen, even before I was, collecting as much as I'm doing now, I'd seen it, and it just looks ridiculously big. I mean, how do you manage it? How do you even tackle that sort of big record fair? What's your plan when you go in? What's your plan?
I think the first time I've been there in I think 2014. But it's always Saturday and Sunday, so it's 2 days. But I never been there more than 1 day. But I spent 6 or 7 hours there, because it's at this huge it's this giant building with several big like hangars for trade fairs. And so twice a year they put this record fair in one of these huge rooms. And I spent 6 or 7 hours and was completely exhausted from bending over the crates and pushing people away, and I was totally overwhelmed and very, very tired, but happy. And the next time, or the subsequent times I went there, I remembered the record, the stalls with the sellers that had the most more interesting records. So whenever I go there, I look at the map, and I know where to go, and to the sellers that I know. So some of them even know me by now.
Yeah.
And so there's still this feeling of missing out on a lot, but it's unmanageable. And then again, this huge record fair is only a small part of a giant fair for antiques and flea markets. So they have even more space reserved for that. And
that's just one bit of something even bigger. I didn't realize it was part of something bigger. Wow.
It's gigantic. And since I've been going there with my boyfriend, and we are both into all this 70s vintage stuff, and we like this old furniture and decoration things. And so I don't even get to spend all the time with the records, because I want to see the rest too, and it's enormous.
And so I assume you've got big suitcases, empty when you get there, and then completely full when you're leaving.
Yeah, it's not as bad, but we carry a lot of bags and
Yeah. I think
yeah.
I think Tommy was meant to go. Tommy T was meant to go last year, but I think Amsterdam locked down, I think, when they arrived, so they ended up just doing a bit of a dig around. But he says you can leave half the stands because they specialize in certain records. For example, a stand full of Beatles records or Elvis records, and he says there is all the secondhand stuff you have to walk through at first. He thought he was in the wrong place. So obviously he now explains what's going on. It's another fair, and then there's just a record fair after that. But
Exactly.
yeah. But so okay, so you know some of the sellers from previous visits, and you will hunt them down first, and see what they've got first.
There's one guy, Hans Kestelow, or he's records from the old days, and he keeps he and his wife, they're very nice, and they will greet me and will let me go behind the store so I can go through the 45s and in my own corner, and then he will, you need this, you should buy this definitely, and then he will hand me this 45, and I look, and it's 600 euros or 900 euros. I can't. That's my whole budget. I can't. Yeah. But it's a really great song. And so you start arguing, but he's a lovely guy.
Record pushers rather than drug pushers. But I think that's the way it goes. Cool. Okay, let's I know it's number 7, but it won't be your last one because I know you've got a few extras lined up. So let's do number 7. And again, hello Constance. Okay, nice to see you in the chat. And she's been on the show before. And I put up you've probably seen a link that's been going up, is the YouTube link. All the shows are on there. If you want to go and subscribe and have a look, it's free. But all Back to Minds and 45-day shows and things are all on there. So yeah, what's this one? Number 7.
So I'm first gonna put this away. It didn't sound very Beatles at all, I think.
No, it didn't. And I can see why people, they wouldn't know what it is, and until you tell them.
So I love it because it's a surprise track. So the last one for now. So this is apart from the Beatles, there's a second boy harmony group that was very influential on me when I was young. Because there were reruns of the TV show and in the evening program when I was really small, and it's the Monkees.
Okay, hold on, let's get that up. Yes. That, again, another great cover, another great picture cover.
This is actually, it's I don't have this for very long. I bought this last year or the year before. It's a Mexican EP because my favorite track from the Monkees is "The Door into Summer," which is an LP. Well, in the US and the UK, it was an LP only track, and but in Mexico it came out on a 45, so I had to get it.
And is it on a 45 or is it playing at 33 like the Brazilian?
No. It's at 45.
It's still playing at 45. Okay, yeah. Cool.
And it's "The Door into Summer" or "Entrada al Verano."
Cool.
But it's still the original song, but they translated it.
They translate the names, don't they?
Yeah. So let's see. So it's the second track on the second segment. Hopefully, I will catch it.
It's a bit like trying to play an album, isn't it? You're trying to find where the track starts with an EP for 45s.
With his fool's gold stacked up all around him, from a killing in the market on the war. The children looking Midas there as they found him in his counting house where nothing counts but more. And he thought as a trade-in for a name upon the door. And he pays for it with years he cannot buy back with his dues. And he finds out there's been no one keeping score.
That's a very cool track, actually. I haven't heard that before, and it's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because Mike Nesmith, who's singing this song, he passed away in in early December. So there's only one monkey left now. It's a bit sad.
Yeah, it's yeah, we've lost a lot of good people recently, and yeah, and obviously you answered. Mark Lancaster was asking if it was Nesmith singing. Yeah,
It made me dig out this wonderful song again in the end. So we got to enjoy it now.
yeah, it certainly does, doesn't it? When when someone passes away, it certainly on Twitch, makes you think. I need to go back and listen to their music more to appreciate it. Right, let's talk about something else which is important, and this isn't the part of my journey show, but we have discussed about mental health, and I know you've got lined up to watch some of the shows, but you've explained to me that obviously music has helped you through some of the mental health issues that you've had. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've gone through, and in terms of how the music has sort of helped you in record collecting, etc.?
Well, first of all, the bad part was in my teens. I was suffering from depression and a lot of anxiety, which really kept me from getting an independent life. So I was pretty isolated because of these things, and it kept me from making friends. And so I had a lot of time to spend at home because of these conditions. In the end, now I'm benefiting from it because I know I got to know so much music that I'm still drawing from now. But it was a hard time. But the music really opened up my own world that I could go into and forget a bit about what was going on outside. And yeah, so I got through the music I really get my own niche with my taste in music and fashion and colors and everything. So that really helped me shape my personality and become a person, then a feeling that I'm a unique person, and and not feeling so lost anymore. And when I got older and I had a therapy and things improved and everything was fine, I started DJing. I enjoyed DJing. I got out to London and other places. Everything was great. And yeah, and then COVID came, and for a lot of people that was really difficult. And well, for me, fortunately, it didn't get as bad as it used to be. But yeah, but the first couple of lockdowns we had in the spring of 2020, I felt quite desperate because the feelings of anxiety started to creep back, and I thought, this is if it goes on like this for months or maybe years, I don't know where this is going to end up. And then, as we said before, in the summer of 2020, Criztoz came along and said,
Yeah.
"Don't you want to join us in that?" Yeah, and at the time, I had no equipment, and I was like, this online DJing live stream, and it's not the same, and I don't feel like it. And thankfully, he kept pushing me a bit, and then it turned out I really like it, and it helped me feel better and feel even better than before, because through this online live streaming, DJing, and connecting in Facebook groups and with other DJs and people who enjoy music, I got to know so many people I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. And this is a great thing, and maybe the greatest thing that could happen in this worldwide crisis we are still going through.
Well, yeah, we've talked about it a lot because, you know, I mean, COVID's been a tragedy, and a lot of people sadly have lost their lives, and a lot of people are still ill and suffering from it. But it sort of pushed everyone internally, didn't it? And I can see from what you're saying that obviously, you know, it was almost a recurrence of the mental health issues you were having as a teenager, and thankfully there was an outlet in terms of the streaming and in terms of the online communities that helped you. And I think it certainly helped all of us in that way, and I'm pleased that you found it. And you know, again, big up to Chris Pop for getting you involved. I'm glad I reached out to you and said, you know, come and do it, and you said yes. I think at one point it wasn't 100% we were going to be able to do it, and timings and things, but you did it, and then, you know, you've been on since. So yeah, you know, again, big up and thanks to everyone who's been part of any of this, because I think, you know, without even knowing it, we've all in our small ways helped individual people across different countries, different worlds, and it's amazing, and I'm pleased that, you know, it has helped and there was that outlet. Going forward, I don't know what the position is currently in Germany. You know, I mean, here it seems to have just been, you know, it's like COVID doesn't exist anymore after what Boris has said this week. But you know, what's going on in Germany? You know, is there still lockdowns? Is there gigs happening again? Are you able to get out and play?
It's slowly opening up. It's not just as liberated as it's in the UK, as Boris is saying. It's over, but here in Germany we are opening up, but it's going more slowly and more conservative, and people are still very, very concerned. But I think it will be a matter of weeks until everything, our restrictions are being lifted here. And I haven't had a DJ gig outside so far, but my boyfriend, as I said, he's a musician. He has had some gigs already, but well, as we have talked about anxiety before, I still have difficulty to feel all right in crowds of people, because, you know, for 2 years now we have been trained to be careful around people and keep distance and wear masks, and it's hard to switch this off now. So to realize the danger of that had been there before is not as great anymore. So I don't. It's probably okay when to DJ again in the spring, you know, when you can go outside or have all the doors open and, you know, have more space, because right now I probably wouldn't feel that well and, you know, cramped in a club with people in little space. That I think there's really there a process, you know, you have to go through to make up your mind again and feel comfortable again.
It's sort of rewiring ourselves. I'll come back to that in a moment. But as I said, Sasha can't get in, but she's just sent me a message saying seeing your live stream blew her away and inspired her to do a live stream herself. So she sends much love out to you. So thanks, Jawa, for that. But it's rewiring ourselves, isn't it? Because obviously we've gone from, you know, before pandemic free, do whatever you want, then it's suddenly don't do this, don't do that. As I said, it's a very strange here in the UK because, you know, there's still lots of COVID around. You know, even quite a few people at my work have got it the last couple of weeks. You know, thankfully I had it back in November. I haven't had it again, but it seems to be that we're just being told just get on with it and carry on as normal. And I think there's still going to be a lot of time where people are still wearing masks in supermarkets, in clubs, in things. You know, it's going to take a while, I think, till we get back to sort of normal. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things.
I'm confident it will get better this summer.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm just going to take a pause there because I think in Germany, can you just check your clock for me? What time is it in Germany?
It's 22 hours, 21 minutes, and 20 seconds.
Okay, so we've got 40 seconds to go. If you want to hold the clock up, we're just doing this. It's a bit unusual today because obviously, as most people would have seen, and I saw you do a post today, and I didn't really clock until I saw you put a post up. It's just got something covering it. It's the 22nd of February, so 2202, 2022. So obviously, if you read that forwards, backwards, and in the right font, upside down and backwards, then it reads the same. And then we have in 7 seconds. It's like a midnight countdown for New Year's Eve. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There you go. 2222 on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's not quite there in the UK yet. We've got another hour. We can do that again in an hour's time. But yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, there we go. And then 22 seconds. Oh, we missed it. Is it? We've missed the 22 seconds as well. But yeah. Anyway, happy Tuesday or whatever we're calling it. I don't know what we're calling it. Yeah. I think the next one's 3rd of March, 3033 or something like that, maybe. But
that's even past the Zager and Evans in the year 2525.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. But that's cool. Right, okay. So obviously you played 7, but I let my guests have a few extras. So have we got a bonus one? Or 2 or 3?
Okay. It's my pleasure.
Before you do that, let me just say thank you. Thank you for being open and honest about your issues. And obviously you wanted to talk about it. And, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I really want to thank you for doing this this amazing show, part of my journey. I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, but it's so much great material you're working on. You are doing so many shows, many different shows. This one, the part of my journey, the live streams, music. You're doing so much. It's like you're 10 people in one person.
I'm trying
all the time, and so much material. It's I really, really appreciate all the work you do. It's amazing, and
very
thank
kind.
you so much.
Thank you so much. But yeah, no, and thank you to everyone who's been on the show. At the end of the day, I just sort of host these things, and if people didn't come on the shows and weren't open and honest about their experiences, it wouldn't be a show. And it's, I hope it's helped people, and yeah, it's opened my creativity, and I've enjoyed it. So, but yeah, let's get back to the music.
Okay, so the next one it's another one by the Shakespeares, but it's a very different style to what we heard first. This is from 1968, and it's not a cover version; it's an original of theirs. And it's a yeah, I would say it's a ballad, and it's called "Burning My Fingers."
Okay, cool.
My desire, loving you means playing with fire. 'Cause I'm burning my fingers, yeah, burning my fingers, baby, for you. Oh my. There's a flame in my heart, and it's so clear, my life, so clear from the start, that I'm burning my fingers. Baby for you,
I like that a lot. That's a great track. And as Cut Class says, great drums. There's some great drums on
it's
that.
beautiful. I really like it. And there has been a music video shot for this one in 1968, and
Okay.
it surfaced briefly on YouTube, but it was taken off again for copyright reasons, which is sad.
Yeah.
But at the time, Alan had sent the link to me and said, "So download it fast; it will be gone soon." So I still have a copy somewhere on my computer of this video, which is yeah, it's nice. And for such a rather unknown a band that really went under the radar of most people, it's interesting that they have a music video for this song. So
Yeah.
this
That was, did you say 69?
68.
68. Okay.
It's an this group has an interesting history because Alan he was born in Rhodesia in Africa, which is now
Yeah.
Zimbabwe.
As was my father-in-law, actually. Yeah, my father-in-law was born there. Yeah.
Cool. So and he left I think aged 15 or so to go to London, where the music's at, and lived in England for quite a while. And well, I don't have all the details in my head now, but back then I had based on, well, shortly before he passed away in 2015, I had written a band biography based on on the emails we had exchanged over the years. So it's written down somewhere on the internet. But he joined another musician who was living in England, and then they went to Belgium and formed the Shakespeares. They were based in Belgium and played in the Netherlands and in Germany a lot, and so these European countries. And existed until 68, and then they and several lineup changes, or like it was in the day, and disbanded, and some of them formed this what is this prog rock, art rock, late 60s outfit called Finn McCool. They put out one album in 1970, and then vanished. But as I said before, Alan stayed in the music industry, and he has two children. His son Luke Escamp is still living in Australia. He's a musician too, and he does this music project for children.
Wow. Okay. What sort of thing? What sort of thing they do?
The band is called The Vegetable Plot, and they are based in Sydney, and they're doing this music program for children, to encourage them to get healthy in a way.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's really good.
And Alan's daughter Melanie, she's must be about my age, maybe a little bit older. She's based in Los Angeles, and she became a rock photographer.
Cool.
Yeah, for the company. It's now called Rocket Global. It used to be the Rocket Cargo Company, which was the company that Alan had worked for so long. And the Rocket Cargo was responsible for shipping the stage and stages and equipment for the bands on tour, like the Rolling Stones and Madonna and Paul McCartney and you name it.
Wow.
So that's where this all comes from.
That sounds amazing. Right, a few more bits actually I want to talk about. Let's talk about your slip mats that you've got there. You showed them to Zizi earlier on, just before we started the show, and she loved them. And you told me a little bit about how you came to get them and design them. So so let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, those are custom made. There's a wonderful woman based in Spain who is doing vintage inspired dresses. The classic A-line mid-60s mini dresses, and she designs the patterns herself. And I've been following her for several years now, and you see my big closet. It's full of dresses from her, and she designs these patterns and keeps coming up with great new ones. Well, it all looks very 1970s, as if it was from the time, but she does them herself. And when I had the idea, I want to have nice looking slip mats, and then I asked her, can I please use one of your designs? And she said, yes, of course, and I can send you the high resolution files anytime you want. And so I did that. And I couldn't decide, so I had both sides printed.
That's so cool.
So I had this orange yellow one and the white one, and it's pretty unique. And hopefully someday she does dresses and scarves and buttons and magnets. So maybe someday she will do the slipmats and make them for sale. Hopefully.
Maybe maybe she makes some 7-inch ones.
I think I didn't even say her name. It's Vida Valenzuela, and her website is called Garage Gogo.
Garage Gogo. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do another track, and then obviously we'll talk about your 78s, and then maybe play one more after that. Who else do I need to say hello to before I forget? Scotty Boy's in the house. Hello, Scotty Boy. I've said hello to Cut Class. I think Don Champ was in earlier. We're doing a cool show with Don Champ on Monday night, actually, next Monday, which is called 33 Raiders. We're playing 45s at 33 RPM, so that should be an interesting show. He does a lot of slow-mo stuff already. That's cool. And apparently we could get a shirt. Maybe we could get a shirt out of that. I don't know. I'd probably wear that. Maybe. But yeah, cool. What have you got next?
I have three left to choose from.
I think we got enough time. We got enough time.
I think I will go with this one. Another one that was really hard to track down, but in the end, now I have two copies of this. Because one has a red label and the other one has a black label. It's this is an odd one again. It's a piece called My Lady, and it's based on some medieval melody, but it's played on I think it's an harpsichord, and in the end it bursts out into something very psychedelic. So I heard this on it's somewhere on a rare 60s track sampler, and it took me some years to track it down. It's from 1969, and the band is the BG System featuring Frank Stein, and I have no idea who that is. I couldn't find out anything about this person.
It's like a medieval harpsichord music into psychedelic. This sounds cool. Let's see what it sounds like. Welcome, Juanita Music. Universal love for that one in the chat.
Yeah.
Everyone is enjoying that.
Thank you.
And Don Champ is saying that Frank Steen and BG are from Switzerland.
Yeah. And I managed to get the LP in time. I think they only did one. If I may show an LP on the 17th.
Yeah, of course.
So this is it, and that one we heard is actually a non-album track. So I had to get the 45.
You mentioned there's two versions. Is it the same? There's a black label and a red. Is it basically the same track?
It's the same. Yeah, it's just a label variation.
Is that just the record collector in you in having to have both versions?
Yes. Yeah, just as I had to get all the Shakespeare's records I have from Greece, from Lebanon, from Mexico, and you name it.
Yeah, and as Chief Bogstow saying, what a cover. And yeah, it's great to see Juanita in the house. Cool, you've mentioned 78s. I don't think we've had a 78 on the show yet, but do you want to show us a couple of your 78s collection and talk us through why, firstly, why you still play them, and obviously why you enjoy them?
I can show you, but I cannot play them.
Not play, no. Don't worry about playing.
Too long to readjust it.
I know they need specific needles, don't they?
Yeah. I have to walk out of the.
Okay, you can
make some announcements.
I'll give you a minute or so. Do that. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're going to keep going for a little bit longer. Just to let you know, next week I've got my very special guest is Fifi LaRue, who has been on the 45-day radio show, and she did a mix last year for 45 Day, which is loads of French Canadian covers, and she also did a set for 45 Funksters. So she's coming on, and then the following week we have T2 Funk. So lots of cool people still coming on. But before that, we've got the 3-day mental health awareness raid train that's going on with Double P. But more details on that coming soon. But so yeah, show us some of these 78s. Okay.
So this is mostly gospel and R&B, because that's what I collect. First of all, this is probably they don't have nice sleeves to show you, but
and am I right in saying they're all a shellac, isn't it? A lot of
shellac.
Yeah.
So I'm running out of space here to.
Again, join the club where I think most of us record collectors. But I did an interview with a guy called Professor Gramophone, and he was talking about 78s, and he was just saying about how they're just don't break one while we're doing it. But he said they're really fragile.
Don't let it for no. This I had some break in my hands. That's not nice. Yeah. But yeah, and sometimes it's hard for me because the kind of music I like to collect in 78s, it's almost exclusively available in the US, and it's very, very difficult to have them shipped. Have them shipped at all, and have them shipped overseas. It's really, really tough because they have to be packed, very carefully and with several layers. And if the seller doesn't know how to do it, you're getting a puzzle. And it's heartbreaking to have these original, very old records broken. And even if the seller does everything right, there's still the possibility of them shattering. So.
And the other thing is, isn't it? You when I was doing the interview, he was saying that you can only play them a certain number of times. They're not sort of infinite because they sort of degrade quite quickly because of because the needles are quite heavy, aren't they? I think on the gramophones compared to modern needles.
That depends. Well, I do have a wind-up gramophone. It's you can't really see it. It's the black thing over there in the corner behind the paperback. I really wanted to have one, obviously, and I bought that 10 years ago or so, and it's a British one. It's an HMV 101 from late 20s, early 30s, and it's beautiful. But I don't play records on it because it ruins them. The needle, and it's about, I think, 200 grams or so the weight.
Wow.
And you have steel needles, and you have to change the needle after each side of the record. because the needle wears off even more than the record, but the record also wears off. So every time you play you play the record on the gramophone and you go with your finger, it's like coal dust, and it's the record you have on your finger. So it's not nice. And so with a gramophone, when you play them, you ruin them. But if you play them with an electric equipment, like I have for my reloop DJ turntables, I have these pickups from Autophone that are specially made for shellac. You put 2 grams weight on it, and then I think that's fine. And the sound quality is better as well.
Yeah. And it's not going to get, I mean, 200 compared to 2 grams, it's not going to get ruined, is it? So
yeah, that can sound surprisingly well if you have one that's preserved well and recorded well. You still get quite a nice sound from them. Of course, not as brilliant as a really as a recent vinyl record or something like that, but they do okay, surprisingly.
Yeah. So do you just sorry, just to talk the technical thing, do you just change the cartridge then, or do you change what do you do when you're playing with the Autophone?
I have to change the whole the whole system, when you have.
Is it the whole arm, the tone arm? You have to change that.
Not the whole arm, but yeah.
The cartridge at the end, the head shell. Yeah.
The head shell. That was the word I'm missing. So this is for vinyl, but I have the same thing for 78s. And luckily, with a DJ turntable, it's easy to change them, but I have to rebalance the weight and all that.
Yeah. Cool. So so what's the one you've got there then, or a couple of the ones that you've got?
Yeah, so this is a well-known one. This is Jailhouse Rock by Elvis. But it's made in Great Britain, so this is a...
Let me get you on solo screen.
British pressing from 1957.
Wow.
So I have this really meticulous habit of labeling all my records. They all have these handwritten stickers, and it's so that I don't have to pull them out of the shelf to see what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's starting to. I mean, I'm starting to do that a little bit. We've talked about it on the 45 Kings. People BPMing and writing down, and we've had Fat Wax who writes out everything because it just helps him remember what's on the track. But yeah, I think it's
I read down the
way to go, isn't it?
Yeah, so I know when this was recorded and made. This was Elvis, and another famous one from that time is Hound Dog by Big Mama Thornton. So So Elvis made this song popular, but it was Big Mama Thornton who sang it before in 1953, and I can't. Why is this in the capital sleeve? It's the wrong sleeve. Oh. So this was released on the Peacock label. This is the song that I have both on 78 and 45 actually.
I don't know if it's that one. I have got a version of Hound Dog on 45. And Mark Lancaster's saying that her version is incredible.
I'm not even. I'm not sure if it's the first version, but it's one of the earliest.
Yeah.
And I did that in my 78s only mix.
Yeah.
I think it was the last one I played.
And so why do you like them so much? Is there a particular reason that you collect them, or is it just the music that you can find on 78?
I don't know, because it's so vintage, a piece a piece of history you have on your hands. So it's, and also with the vinyl I collect, it's mostly original press. I always try to get the original pressing unless it's too expensive. Then I'm perfectly fine with the reissue. But I'm collecting this stuff because for me it's tangible piece of history, and that's what's fascinating me so much about this. And yeah, to have the music in the original format, the original incarnation, that the people who were listening to this at the time this came out, to have the same thing in your hands, it's, for me, it's just an interesting feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we've talked about it before. We're playing music, and obviously you more so. That's like, well, 56. We're talking about almost 60, 65 years old, which is older than most of us on here. But yeah, it's amazing. It's brilliant.
My oldest 78 is from 1926, I
Wow.
think. 26 or 28.
Wow.
No, no. The oldest one is from 1908.
1908. Wow. And that, I mean, just the fact that it's lasted and is still being played.
It's unplayable.
Oh,
that one is unplayable. The oldest playable one is from the 20s.
Yeah, one of the local record shops in my town, they have lots of 78s, but they're obviously always smashing them, because you walk in and then on the floor you are literally just stepping over broken bits of 78 all over the place, because by the time they've cleaned it up, someone else has dropped one, and it's just. But yeah,
and not all of them are rare or worth keeping, because
yeah,
when you go to a record shop in Germany and you find 78s, it's mostly crooning ballads or military music. You don't find hound dog usually in a
exactly.
German record shop.
Exactly. Cool. No, it's very interesting. Let's have one more. Let's have one more 45, and then we'll sort of find someone to sort of rate out to.
There's one more 78 I want to mention, because
Yeah, of course.
I didn't buy it because of the music. It's a bit. It was a childish act of me to buy this, because I was smiling and laughing because of the title and the artist. It's actually it's a nice gospel song, but it's "Oh Lord, Somebody Touch Me" by the Gay Sisters.
Okay.
And yeah, it's from 1952.
Wow.
Obviously, gay meant something else at the time, or probably it was just
it
the last
did
name.
mean something very different back then.
Yeah. So the next one, it's another one with this weird cover. I was originally gonna play the A side. It's "Rosie Can't Fly" by The Sleepy, but this is another ballad, and we've had a few sweet songs before. Rosie Can't Fly. This is another one. It's quite rare, and it took me years to track down. And this was one of my favorite songs. In this first phase, when I, as a teen, I was on this music blogs and digging through this rare stuff, and I listened to this over and over again. But then years later, I finally got the 45. I finally heard the B side, which is actually it's very different from the A side, and it's actually pretty cool. And I hadn't heard it before I had the actual record in my hands. So
we've got another boost side for the win.
But this is a two-sider, definitely. It's just I wouldn't play the A side in a club, because it's a really sweet ballad song. So this is The Sleepy with Mrs. Bailey's Barbecue and Grill.
Okay, cool. This is a double-sided banger.
Chewing the leather from the soles of my shoes as they used to walk in the floor. When suddenly a
Another great track. Mark Lancaster says interesting members of the band by the looks of it. Drummer from King Crimson. So yeah, interesting. That's cool.
That's why it's so sought after.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's brilliant. Thank you so much. I think that's probably our last one. We're gonna raid out in a minute. We're gonna go and see one of my mods, Sideshow
It
Mall.
was my last one.
Yeah. Let me just set the raid up and then we'll say sort of goodbye and stuff. Yeah, we'll go and see Sideshow Mall in a minute. But yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed all the stories. I've loved all the music. And as I said earlier, thank you for being so open and honest about the issues that you faced. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been brilliant yet again. Every time I get a guest on this show, I'm blown away by the music they've got and the stories. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm glad you said yes when I asked you to sort of be on the show.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And well, it was great fun, showing you around my room and my record collection, and sharing some of my very, very favorite 45s with all of you out there. And yeah, thanking again for being such a great host and doing all this massive output of brilliant content.
Thank you so much. And as I said, we've got Fifi LaRue on next week, and then T2 Funk, and then before that we've got Part of My Journey's back on as part of the 3-day mental health raid. We've got Ouija, Double P, and also Galen Hardy, who's going to give us a viewpoint from a viewer rather than a streamer of how Twitch has helped in streaming and that. But yeah, if you hang on there, Sarah, we'll set the raid out, and then we'll say. But thanks everyone. If you want to watch it back, it'll be back on YouTube. But yeah, thanks so much.